Hey, this is video assessment 42. We're doing a dynamic postural appraisal. This is my client Ben Alcorn. Ben, have you ever done a dynamic postural appraisal before?
No.
Okay, so what we're looking at is 3 different movements: your overhead squat, single leg squat, and a stability push-up. We're looking for any deviations in the movements to see if you're susceptible to injury. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to demonstrate to you the overhead squat, and then I'm going to get you to have a practice run before we do the assessment. Now I'll be assessing you as you do the movements after your practice runs. Okay? Now your first one, I'm going to get you to have your hands above your head and your feet are going to be shoulder width apart, toes facing forwards. And I'm going to get you to squat down for me. So bottom going back, making sure you keep a nice straight line between the fingers and the shoulders. And then your head's going to be in a neutral position, keeping the back nice and straight and going down like so. And what I'm looking for is specifically any deviations in the knees, whether they're turning in medially, so in the middle, or going to the side laterally, if you're balanced on those feet, and whether the arms stay upright and the curve in the spine. Now what I would like you to do is do it 5 times to the front, 5 times to the side, and also 5 times facing the wall. Okay, so I'll get you to come in here and do a practice run first. So hands above the head, that's it. And feet are shoulder width apart, so practicing first, just squatting down as low as you can. Good, coming back up. Excellent, yep. Just changing those arms, coming back, going back down again. This is the second practice run. Okay, does that feel comfortable?
Yeah.
Alright, let's do it 5 more times. I'm going to start appraising your movement. So I can see here that the feet are maintained position. That's fine. So far in this position, the knees are aligned. That's good. Okay, now what I'd like you to do is turn and face that way so that we can see from this angle. Hands above the head, 5 times. Now as Ben is going down, he does not have a parallel line between his torso and his femur. He is actually bending forward a bit more, so that femur is not parallel with that squat movement. And that could possibly be due to these tight hip flexors here, or alternatively some lengthened or weak hip extensors. Alright, facing the back, we'll do that again. And just make sure here we're looking at the spine as well, so making sure we keep that nice neutral curve all throughout that spine. So lumbar spine here, thoracic up further up the top. Yeah. Good. Again, I can see that the feet are still maintained position. Knees are not going over that second metatarsal and great toe. And there is no medial or lateral rotation of the knee. Great work. So that is the overhead squat done. Now I will tell you the results of those in just a moment.
Yeah.
We'll do the single leg squat. Now the single leg squat run, you'll also be doing a practice run. And I'll get you to do it 5 times per view. So when you do your left leg, you're going to do it to the front, toe facing to the front, lifting the back leg up or the back foot up off the floor, squatting down as low as you can, but so that knee doesn't go over the toe, and coming back up. Now we're looking for obviously a balanced position. You need to be balanced in order to do a one-legged squat. I'm making sure that there is no medial or lateral rotation of the knee, so making sure that knee doesn't move. That the balance is maintained over the foot, and then we're looking for stability all the way through that movement. Okay, again looking for a nice neutral posture with the upper body. 5 times to the front, to the side with the left leg in front, and to the back. And then I'll get you to do the same thing with the right leg. 5 times to the front, facing this way to do the lateral view or that side view, and then 5 times facing the wall. Alright, so practice run first. It's a bit tricky maintaining the balance, so the first couple we won't appraise, it'll just be balancing. Good. Alright, and just do the other leg as well to practice, and then we'll get into that appraisal. Excellent, I think you've done this one before. Okay, let's start. We'll do the left leg first, so 5 times to the front, toes facing the front, lifting up that back foot. 1, 2, so he's mostly balanced throughout that movement. There's no excessive ankle movements there to keep Ben balanced. Good, one more time. And then to the side for me, Ben. Okay, that knee is not going over the toe, which is good. It's staying just over the second metatarsal and the great toe there. Alright, and 5 times to the back. Now from that front view, we were also looking at the pelvis. Now there was no movement in the pelvis there, that was maintained. We're just going to check from the back as well to make sure that pelvis does stay neutral. So looking to make sure that this area here doesn't tilt either way. And other than very, very slight movements that are due to the balance, there is no movement there. Okay, moving to the front, and we're doing the right leg now. So again, we'll have a look at the pelvis, and that is neutral the whole way through, which is really good. Again, we need to make sure that this of the right leg, the knee's not going over the great and second metatarsal, that it is staying aligned, there is no medial or lateral rotation, which is good. To the side, we'll be able to see it from the lateral view. Excellent. Again, as we saw in the overhead squat, Ben does tend to lean forward a fair bit when he does do this squat. This is due to possibly some quite tight hip flexors. Thanks, Ben, to the back as well, 5 times. Or alternatively, some weaker hip extensors. Good. Again, balance is well maintained. Beautiful. Okay, let's have a look at the results here. So for that single leg squat which you have just done, you did manage to keep your feet maintained through that neutral angle, and there wasn't any excessive ankle movement, just ankle movement enough to keep you balanced. The pelvis, so this part here, we're looking at whether it was maintained in a neutral line the whole way through that movement, and it was, other than when you were trying to balance, in which case it did tilt slightly, but other than that it was just due to the balance, not any postural deviations. And the balance was maintained mostly throughout that movement. I have put here excessive forward lean, but that again could be due to those tight hip flexors, which was also seen in your overhead squat. So your femur wasn't parallel with your arms at the deepest part of the squat, and the torso again wasn't parallel with the lower limb. So again, due to those tighter hip flexors or weaker hip extensors. So what I would tell you there is to really try and stretch out those hip flexors. So in that deeper lunge stretch, and then leaning back a little bit just to stretch out those ones, or alternatively tightening up the hip extensors. Now I could refer you to a physio to do that, but I think if every time you were to do some leg exercises, whether it be squats or lunges, is to really focus on stretching those particular muscles after you've done a leg workout. You don't have any postural deviations that require referral to a physio at this time. Okay, so nothing that's going to lead you susceptible to injury, but something that could benefit you when you go to do any strengthening exercises later on. Okay, do you have any questions about that one in particular?
No, absolutely.
Okay, so we are going to go ahead and do our stability push-up, and then we'll analyse that one as well.